again, my nomies. Welcome back to the renovation that never ends here on the MT and Me. Let me start out this week's episode by saluting the green. If you're watching this on the day of release, it is St. Patrick's Day 2024. The day everyone's a little bit Irish. I know I'm a little Irish. If you knew my dad, one look at him and you can see the Scotch Irish all over him. Kind of short, stocky, curly red hair. Just real obvious. My mom, tall, dark hair. So obviously I take a little bit more after her. But there's a little bit of Irish in me. I'm not sure what else is in there, but I know there's a little something to wish you a very happy St. Paddy's Day. So wherever you are, whoever you are, however little bit of Irish you may or may not be, I say to you, Slàinte, y'all. Slàinte Mhaith. Good health. St. Patrick's Day and every day. Now that we've saluted the green, let's get back down to business here on the MT and Me. If you remember in our last episode, this was the business. Trying to get up some of these side supports. These are the supports that'll run up and down the frame on each side and hold our cross trusses in place. The things that we're cutting to fit to add a little extra support to Pearl's metal roof frame. It's all a very elaborate project to reinforce the roof. I still don't know if it's all going to work, but we're on a roll, so we're going to try. Now, last week, we took a stab at going in from the bottom of these beams and drilling up inside them in order to hold them in place. Decided that wasn't going to work. Just too hard to get in position, and I couldn't get a really firm lock on it. No matter how many of these I put in, I'd still be able to rock that beam. Now, I know it would have the weight of the cross trusses pushing down on it, and that would probably hold it in place. But I just don't like the idea of it being loose. So we're going to try something else. A couple of ideas came to mind. First of all, I bought these. And my thought here was that we could fasten into that and fasten into the beam and hold them in place. After I got these home, I realized that there's really too much there. I could only put one in the metal, and then that'd be 3 in the wood. And I think even with that, I'd still have a problem with wobble. So, this idea is probably not going to work. It's cool. I'll find something else to use these for. No problem. You can always use a good metal brace. The other thing I mentioned last week was drilling through the 2x4 and going into the actual metal bracing here on the side. And doing that, say, maybe every other brace to hold that 2x4 against it. The bottom is pretty well going to stay in place if you do that, because it is sitting on that double steel beam I was talking about, where the two pieces are interlocked. That's not going anywhere. And it makes a good shelf for that 2x4 to sit on. Just holding it in place, I thought maybe going straight through and bracing against the side supports would be the best way to go. Trouble is, I didn't have any kind of self-tapping or self-drilling screw that was long enough to go all the way through the wood and into the metal. Well, that was last week. I got 2-inch. These are self-drilling, 2-inch self-drilling screws. And I think these just might do the trick. So here's my thought on this. First of all, we'll have to get this board up against just as close as we can, because we only have 2 inches to play with, and that's not going to give me a whole lot of depth, as you can see there. That's going to put maybe the last quarter inch or so of this screw going into the metal. But if we go through here, drill a hole through the wood, and then let this tap on into the metal and screw on in, also put a washer on this, of course, then I think maybe we can hold it in place. At least that's what I'm hoping. Might as well give it a try. And we'll put this in. See if we can get it to go into the metal. I think I really need to put a pilot hole there. I don't know if this bit will do it or not. See if maybe I have enough of a pilot to do a little bit. Get it? A little bit. Yeah, right. It's really starting to look like these 2-inch screws are just not big enough. I need something a little longer. I could try countersinking into the wood, but I can't use a washer if I do that. I guess I've got to go back and look and see if I can find some screws long enough. Well, shoot, I was really hoping to take care of this project this afternoon, but it looks like it might take a little bit longer. It's a couple of days later. Now, you see all this water in my yard here? There's standing water everywhere. And trust me, this is only about half of what it was. You may remember a few years ago I put in a French drain right in this area, and that's taking care of a lot of the water, but all of this is still standing. It has rained and rained and more rained, and it has just now stopped. That's going to give me a chance to finally get back into Pearl and maybe get back to work on the sideboards that I'm trying to secure into place. The good news is I got the parts. I got some much longer and heavier screws to put in. So we're going to go inside and see if we can't wrap up this job. So, a big part of getting this done was getting the right hardware to do it, which I did 2 days ago. But that's when the rain set in. The weather changed. It got cooler, it got wetter, and of course, here in Pearl, it's nice and dry. that was not the issue. The issue was noise. It was raining so hard that you couldn't hear yourself think inside this big empty metal bread box of an RV. So the rain finally slacked up and actually quit a couple of hours ago. It's supposed to start back, but hopefully before it does, we can get something done here. Let's go. These are some big screws. They're size 14 by 2.5 inches long. I'm hoping that'll do the trick. And it says on the back that for a size 14, you need a 13/64 bit. That's exactly what I got here. Brand new one, 13/64. So we're going to see if their size recommendations work. First thing I want to do is get this secured in place. I didn't do that the other day. I was trying to hold the board and work on it at the same time, and that just really wasn't working. So hopefully that'll make it a lot easier. Now, I have a hole here already. This is slightly larger, so let's go in and enlarge it. Okay, so far so good. Something I didn't really think about, and I got real lucky. My washers will just barely work onto this larger screw. I have to literally kind of screw them on over the threads, but they did fit. Never occurred to me that I might need to get new washers. Well, that seems to be secure. Let's take the clamp off and see what it does. Oh, I think we've got a winning combination here. Yeah. Boy, it's about time something went right on this project. Now, I should be able to pull this off. And this is absolutely firm and secure. Just what I wanted. Now I just have to do it to the other side. Broke my bit doing those last two. It just barely made the cut, but it did. Not a real expensive bit by any means, but it is one designed for metal. It's not a titanium bit like my other ones. I don't think I would have broken a titanium one. But anyway, I got all the holes I need. Now let's get the screws in. Maybe they won't break. All right, there we go. Just as tough as the other one. And now, well, let's see. Now, what's next? We've got our two, oh, it's cold. I done worked up a sweat out here now. Got our two supports up down each side. That means we are ready to put our trusses in. Now, that means I got to cut the rest of the trusses. I have 2 of them so far. And there's 6 more to go. That won't take long, but I do need some dry, pleasant weather to do that. And it may be a day or 2 before I get that. So maybe this weekend, maybe sometime this next week. Time will tell. We'll see about that. Now, before we actually install the trusses, we got to consider this paneling issue as far as supporting the aluminum roof. Here on the end, we have a couple of pieces of plywood put in. This one here is 3/8 inch. This one here is 1/4 inch. And the 3/8 I think works a lot better. It gives more support. It's firmer, not as flimsy as the 1/4 inch. But that's what you'd expect. 3/8 is thicker and stronger. So I think I'm going to see about getting some more 3/8 inch plywood and see how I would need to cut it in order to put some additional bracing in, just kind of as an experiment to see how it's going to work. Now, if it looks like it is going to work out, then I'll take the wood, I'll treat it to make it moisture resistant. I don't know if I can absolutely waterproof it or not. It's really hard to waterproof wood. But you can make it moisture resistant. And it needs to be on the roof. I explained in an earlier video because of the condensation issue that you have there with this aluminum metal roof. So get it moisture resistant, figure out how to place it on this frame, and just see if it's going to work and see how it is going to work in conjunction with installing the wooden trusses across. My goal, of course, is to have a firmly supported roof that you can actually get up on without having to worry about denting it or putting your foot through it or anything like that. I hope I can attain that. That's the goal. That's also going to be today's show. It took forever to get what really is a pretty simple job done. It was just a question of finding the right materials to do it with. And once I did, look, it took no time at all this afternoon. So, I hope maybe you've learned something. I know I have. Not really sure what, but I know I've learned something anyway. And we'll look forward to another learning experience next week when we work on our trusses and maybe do a little plywood paneling work as well here inside Pearl. Oh, and I still have some projects on the Equinox too I need to get to. I finally got the, the EV vent valve. That's not quite what it's called. It's the thing that goes on the charcoal canister that vents the gas tank that will hopefully let me fill the gas without having to deal with the cutoff every 3 to 5 seconds. I've got that, so we'll get that installed maybe this next time too. What I'm waiting for is some rather pleasant and dry weather to do that. I don't really want to jack up the Equinox and crawl under it on wet gravel, if you know what I mean. Maybe we'll get to that next week as well. Tune in and find out. Again, if you're watching this on the day of release, it is St. Paddy's Day. I've still got my green shirt on here. You know, wishing you Erin go bra and a very happy St. Patrick's Day. Don't forget, below you can click, give me a thumbs up for one thing. You can also click subscribe if you haven't already. And check out themtandme.com. You can buy me a coffee and look at our other links as well. thanks again for coming along for yet another week here on the MT and Me. Till next time around, my nomies, my lepranomies, lepranomes. Gotta be something there. Anyway, happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm Russ. We'll talk later.